Cheers, Danny. Thanks for everything. Well, it's been a long ride. Daniel Ricciardo has been sacked by Red Bull, cash grab, extra, Red Bull B, random bank, sponsored team, or whatever they're called, but the writing has been on the wall for a very, very long time for a personal favorite driver of mine. And how brilliant would it be if the potential toothpaste model called Daniel Ricciardo could leave Formula One having achieved the fastest lap in the very last lap of his career in 2024 in Singapore. A man many saw as a potential world drivers champion, but life intervened and spells at McLaren and that B team former Alpha Tauri thing proved very disappointing after the great Red Bull and very solid Renault spell. More than 250 race starts, 8 wins, 32 podiums, with a best finish of 3rd in the Drivers' Championship in 2014 and 16 for the proper Red Bull team, means that although Daniel Ricciardo never became the champion, the man still has had a terrific career at the top level of motorsport. Time to have a look at some highlights from a career that promised so much at one point. Number 10, fastest lap, Singapore 2024. Even the biggest DR3 fan has to admit that his time seems over. I hope that he would show real pace at whatever that Red Bull reserve team is currently called, and maybe replace struggling Sergio Perez at the senior team and have another go at Max. Yuki Tsunoda failed to read the script though and has soundly beaten the Aussie in their time together. So when Ricciardo pitted in Singapore towards the end of the race and the commentators said it was probably to save Max a point by going for the fastest lap that former teammate Norris had just taken, I thought it was strange that Formula One would allow the commentator to smoke pot while working. And of course, Ricciardo had a flashback to 2014 and promptly put in a brilliant lap to steal the fastest lap from poor old papaya-powered Lando. As a McLaren fan, it was a bit of a groin kick for me, but as a human with a soft spot for old Danny Ric, it was great. A proper last throw of the dice by a man that brought much enjoyment to fans over a long career. 9. First points, Australia 2012. It's pretty obvious I haven't just picked his wins and that this list isn't chronological either. I've chosen moments that I felt were the biggest memory makers. And when the young Aussie kid scored points for the inferior team against the odds, it certainly brought smiles all round the land that snakes, kangaroos and spiders seem to love. In 2012, DR3 was driving for Toro Rosso, the 2012 incarnation of that banking app Visa MasterCard 2.0 punk of a team thing that he's driving for currently. A nice bookend to his career, I think. He made his debut for HRT and was seen as a very promising young Formula One ace. First race of the season and the young man would overtake teammate Jean-Eric Vergne on the final lap to steal a point-scoring finish. The team was pretty much what they have been for most of their existence though, kinda rubbish, with the odd Vettel or Gasly miraculous win, and they only managed 26 points all season, with the Red Bull senior team scoring 460. Ricky Smiles though was solid enough to earn himself a drive for that senior team in 2014, and none of that would have happened without scoring his first points. Number 8, first win, Canada 2014. Joining defending champions Red Bull in 2014, partnering 4-time defending world champion Sebastian Vettel loaded the pressure on the young man. It took him till race 7 in Canada to win his first Grand Prix. Ricciardo qualified 6th, teammate Vettel 3rd. Dominant Mercedes had technical issues that meant their cars were some 32 km an hour slower by lap 37, meaning they had to restart their electronic control systems, which did not completely fix the problem either, giving Red Bull a shot. Hamilton retired. On lap 66, Ricciardo passed Vettel with DRS. On lap 68, he passed Rosberg with DRS for the lead, winning the first race for an Aussie driver since Webber had won the 2012 British Grand Prix. 7. Beating 4-time champion Vettel in equal cars. When Ricciardo joined Vettel at Red Bull in 2014, the German was looking scary. 4 titles in a row, poor Alonso being beaten multiple times, and the German seemed like a luckier new version of Schumacher, set to dominate Formula One forever. Then Mercedes built an unbeatable car, and Ricciardo became the first man to beat Vettel in equal machinery, before he buggered off to try and make Ferrari great again. Spoiler alert, he did not. The Aussie got Australia's revenge for all the years Vettel had messed with poor Mark Webber's head and ended up smashing his more illustrious teammate, like Dricus du Plessis going after Israel Adesanya, ending the season with 238 points to Vettel's 167, winning 3 races to Vettel's 0. Vettel's aura of invincibility was gone and was never recovered again. 6. Part-time comedian, real athlete. These clips speak for themselves. The man has a great sense of humor.
I'm a high performance athlete. Athletes sweat. Sweat, baby. Sweat, sweat. Pierre Gasly!
5. Being the only driver to beat Max in equal cars. Yes, Max was a freaking teenager when he joined Red Bull, but Ricciardo remains the only driver to beat him in equal Formula 1 cars. Verstappen took from poor old Kvyat, Kelly Piquet and the Red Bull seat. In 2016, Ricciardo scored 238, Max scored 204. In 2017, he outscored the Prince of Orange by 200 to 168. Remember, Max was still a teenager at this point though. By 2018 though, Max turned the tables and outscored DR3 by some 70 odd points. The next season, Ricciardo was off to Renault, leaving his fans with the fact that he had been the first and thus for only man to beat Vettel and Verstappen in equal machinery. How do you like them apples, Nico Rosberg? 4. Renault podium 2020 Eiffel Grand Prix. The 2020 season was hit hard by COVID, as was the world. Trust Ricciardo to help relieve some of that stress by his brilliant podium in the one-off Eiffel GP at the Nürburgring. Mercedes were dominant, followed by Red Bull. This was prime Ham-bot Vert time. Hamilton would win the race, equaling Schumy's 91 wins. Kimi would break the record for the most race starts with some 320 something, and Ricciardo scored Renault's first podium since 2011. He had shown his skill, he had refused to play second fiddle to Verstappen at Red Bull and proven his ability with a brilliant podium in what was probably the 4th or 5th best car. Ricciardo would end the season 5th in the Drivers' Championship, behind Hamilton, Bottas, Verstappen and Perez. 3. Giving us the shoey. How many of you would think that drinking a swig of champagne from a sweaty boot sounds like good hygienic fun? Honestly, it makes me want to puke when I think about it. But I was one of the first to cheer when Ricciardo would pop out the shoe on the podium for a good old taste of sweaty, foot fungusy, stinky sock flavored bubbly. And then he would get celebrities like Patrick Stewart to join him. Brilliant, you Australian troll master. Even more, the habit has been repeated by Formula 1 fans worldwide. In South Africa, I've been to 3 weddings where the groom, father-in-law and groomsmen would share a shoey at the reception to massive cheers. Good on you, Danny Ric. Number 2, winning from pole, Monaco 2018. Ricciardo was never a great qualifier, only having 3 poles in his entire career, so winning from pole in the historic Monaco was something special. It was also his final victory driving for Red Bull Senior. DR3 led the race from start but developed an issue, complaining about a loss of power on lap 28, and he had to race for 50 odd laps with a seriously wounded car. The MG UK failing, giving him 25% less horsepower than usual, and with only 6 of 8 gears actually working. Vettel pressured his former teammate but was unable to pass because Monaco is the quintessential old-school thin street circuit and notoriously difficult to pass on. Ricciardo went on to win from Vettel and Hamilton and gave us the iconic photo of that dip in the pool with full race kit on. Number 1. Winning for McLaren at Monza 21. By the time the Italian GP came round in 2021, many McLaren fans were already disillusioned with Danny Ric. He had joined us as the man who would match Max and would do wonders, and he had been rather rubbish in the papaya, being soundly outpaced by the same Lando Norris who had been soundly outpaced by Carlos Sainz the previous couple of seasons. Then came round 14 at Monza. Young Lando had 3 podiums already that season. Ricciardo had zilch, 0, nada, nothing. As a papaya-coloured freak, I revert to Wikipedia for a slightly more neutral account of the race, and I quote, The 53-lap race was won by McLaren driver Daniel Ricciardo, who capitalized on a good front row start and an accident between Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton to take the race lead. Ricciardo was joined by Lando Norris in second, with Mercedes' Valtteri Bottas in third. It was Ricciardo's first victory since the 2018 Monaco GP and so far remains his latest race victory. In addition, the race was McLaren's first Grand Prix victory since Jenson Button's victory at the 2012 Brazilian Grand Prix, and the last until a victory for Norris at the 2024 Miami Grand Prix. This was also McLaren's first 1-2 finish since the 2010 Canadian Grand Prix, and also McLaren's first win at Monza since the 2012 Italian Grand Prix, and first double podium since the 2014 Australian Grand Prix. End quote. For that one afternoon in Italy, the man, ironically with Italian heritage, was back on top. He was once more the world beater, who had humbled Vettel and subdued Monaco. For that one afternoon, he was not the struggling big name, underperforming Aussie, but the chosen one once more. Yeah, it all pretty much went to hell in a handbasket the rest of the season, and come end of 22, he was in essence paid to not race for McLaren anymore. But for all his struggles in Papaya, when I remember Ricciardo's time at McLaren, I instantly think of Monza 2021. He broke the team's terrible winless run and opened the door for what has become a title challenge in 24. Who knows what would have happened and how long it would have taken for McLaren to return to the top if he did not win at Monza that glorious day. And on that nostalgic note, we have reached the end of another video. He will probably get a drive in DTM or something similar, and all the best to the man. You may never have won that World Drivers' Championship in Formula 1, but thank you for the memories you gave us, Mr. Ricciardo. You will be missed on the grid, probably more than anyone since Kimi. You'll probably never see this video, but thank you anyways. You brought us hours of laughs, shoeys, and 8 brilliant victories. May God bless you, Daniel Ricciardo.
Ki, 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 ra.